I'm the person who has seen this show before.
I'm a person who's never watched an anime.
HiroBabble, we are HiroBabble. HiroBabble, we are HiroBabble.
Do you want to be one with me? One with me in body and soul? It feels really good.
Do you want to be one with me? One with me in body and soul? It feels really good.
Come on, idiot Fernie. Do you want to be one with me? One with me in body and soul? It feels really good.
Come on, idiot Spexo. Do you want to be one with me? One with me in body and soul? It feels really good.
Yes.
No.
Oh, dang it.
Hey, hello and welcome back to the HiroBabble podcast. As you may have noticed, we took a bit of a hiatus. We just kind of needed to reflect, recover, recharge, if you will. Mainly me. I'll take full ownership of it. Transitioning between two jobs takes a lot out of a Fernie, and just needed to recharge the batteries, especially because I wanted to make sure in talking about this episode I was on my A game, because this is one that very much kind of requires full attention, both in talking about it and watching it.
Yeah. I watched this one 3 different times, and I think now I have a good grasp on what it's trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I watched it again this morning, just kind of before Spencer came over, and it is... I love this episode a lot, but I also think that this is the part of the series that I think potentially a lot more people can relate to. I think, some of the themes that get touched on,
Yeah.
and, the character of Shinji, at least for me. I know I made mention in episode 1 where you kind of go, get in the fucking robot. But if you've been tracking it, I almost feel like even on a first watch through, you can get to episode 20 and go, maybe he shouldn't.
Right.
And I feel like on, other watches it's more apparent, but...
Yeah.
So
yeah.
three times. I mean, did you take something new away each time?
Well, the first time I watched it was when we were going to do 19 and 20 originally together.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was a little bit too much happening here to make work as a double with the time allotted that we had. So I decided to watch it again last week and really try to take good notes.
Totally.
And then I watched it again last night.
Okay.
And I guess, my reasonings for the multiple watches, this episode just felt important.
Yeah.
It felt like there was truly something to be taken away from, more so than maybe some of the other ones.
Absolutely.
And so I really wanted to make sure I had a good grasp on this one, especially since, for the sake of this show, we're really just getting my first impressions, and we're just really going to watch through it once.
Totally.
So I wanted to make sure, we did it justice for our fans.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's to the benefit of us, but also if you're watching from home, I think that this is one that I'm hoping that, we see hopefully a lot of conversation about, or if you guys have thoughts or want to discuss those with us, please do, because this is one that I think is a turning point episode, but is also kind of a, the snowball has been rolling down the hill, but now it's launching down at kind of like a rocket speed. Especially, not to get ahead of ourselves, but that end sequence with Masato and Kaji.
Yeah.
Let's just say the ball gets rolling in a few ways.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into it. I mean, this episode is Weaving a Story Part 2, so you might know Weaving a Story as the lowest reviewed episode for us.
On the HiroBabble podcast.
That episode was the Clips episode that ended with, the most spoilerific and, important details of all time, just to make it, worth watching.
Just buried in the last, what was it, minute?
Yeah, that episode really pissed us off, so...
Is that because that's the one where it ends with Rey with the Spear of Longinus, and they're just walking in that sea of red?
Yes.
Love that for us.
And it's just, at that point, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
And I had pretty much tuned out from the Clips, you know?
Oh, totally.
And so, yeah, for them to throw that in seemed like a bit of a curveball. But, you know, we swung and we hit it. And here we are. We're at part 2, which, no idea why they called it that.
Yeah, it's a weird naming convention to call this Weaving a Story Part 2. Because I would think you would want one of your strongest episodes to be as far removed as from your weakest as possible. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if someone saw Weaving a Story Part 2 and was like, fucking 2 recap episodes?
Yeah.
Fuck this. And then skip to 21.
Yeah.
Only to then, I'm guessing, be bombarded with, wait a minute. What the fuck is happening?
Right.
But pretty much the episode picks up right where episode 19 ends. All of NERV is essentially watching Ava 1 go berserk. And, you know, the beginning seconds of episode 20 are showing Kaji watching Ava Unit 1 yelling. And he makes he says, it's beginning, or it's begun. Yes. The beginning.
Yes, I mentioned that it's kind of like the Clone Wars, right? Begun, the Clone War has.
Well, and it's interesting too because I really do feel like it, in Kaji saying that, it's kind of a the beginning of the end to a certain extent. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't know, everything feels so important in this episode because it's like, for Gendo and those guys, it's like, it's almost like it's all going according to plan. Maybe not his plan, but events are happening that have been foretold.
Yeah.
And
all according to Keikaku. Right?
I don't know.
But yeah, it's very much, I think, a episode that kind of I think jettisons what happened in the prior 19, and it's kind of like a shift in tone and focus, and that's kind of felt, I think, because after Kaji says that, it then cuts to Cell, the mysterious round table that has been puppeteering in the background, and they're all kind of saying, like, goddamn Gendo, you know, how could we trust him with this? It was wrong to trust Gendo. And then some guy goes, but isn't he the only one that could have gotten us closer towards our goal? And then they all kind of get quiet, and they're like, oh, fine.
Right. It's really just like a bunch of investors just bitching.
Yeah, they're
That's
basically
what it turns into.
This guy sucks. And then someone goes, but we did choose him.
I know.
And then they're like, if only somebody could hold him accountable. Not us today, though, or ever. But I don't know. And then I don't know. I think this is kind of the point where the motives of Cell are very much like, okay, they've been teasing that something big is happening in the background, and that there's a puppeteering of, you know, the events, whether it's from Cell or mainly Gendo, is, I think, yet to really be seen, but it's obvious that Gendo is kind of their loose cannon, and he's taking them towards, like, a unified trajectory, but he's now, I think, branching off from them, and they're, I think, getting a little skittish. They're kind of like, what in the hell?
Yeah, it's, I mean, yeah, you summed it up perfectly. Basically, they are just awestruck at what's happening.
Yeah.
And are sort of like, wait, I thought this was going to be smooth and easy, and, yeah. Gendo still seems pretty calm about the whole thing, though. So.
Yeah, my man is unshaken. Yeah. He's kind of like, who gives a fuck? All right. Is Shinji dead? He's still alive. Fuck. Okay. Well, make him get in the unit, Unit 1 again. So after it shows that conversation with Cell, it hard cuts to Ava Unit 1 wrapped up like a mummy, and when I say this is probably one of the best still shots, and also one of the just most, like, visually appalling. Not like I'm sitting here going, what the fuck? But more so kind of just like a, oh.
Yeah.
You know, because you see kind of the split face through each of the eye holes. You know, one is the regular Ava unit eye, and then the other one is this weird humanoid looking thing.
Yeah.
And Ava 1 is just in complete tatters. Like, it's been busted before, but now pretty much all of NERV is just looking at it going, hey, what the fuck is this?
Is this the part where they start talking about the armor plating doubles as restraints?
Ritsuko says that at the very end of episode 19.
Okay, yeah.
Because Eva 1 starts freaking out and, like, ripping its armor off.
Right.
And one of the people goes, what's it doing? And then Ritsuko goes, that armor is meant for defense, but it also doubles as a restraint.
Right.
And, so the scene, I guess I'm mainly talking about, it's not the first cut, because it goes basically between Cell and NERV talking about Eva 1, but there's a scene where Masato and one of the computer guys is standing there, and you just see a zoom in on Eva 1's face.
Yeah.
And just the green eye and the other eye. Oh, amazing.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff.
But there's another quote. I'm having a tough time placing where it happens, but I think it's one of the Cell guys says, a bell that doesn't ring has no purpose. Mm-hmm. Because they're essentially talking about Gendo again, and they're saying, I thought we had safeguards in place to, like, hold him in check, like, whistleblowers, stuff like that. What if we have a dog whistle or something? And someone goes, well, a bell that doesn't ring has no purpose. And I think that it's kind of essentially saying we are losing control entirely. And I know I said that earlier, but I think it really drives home that this is a hard cut from whatever their plans were initially. Gendo's kind of like... Get played, suckers.
Yeah, like they're at the point where things aren't going to plan, and the guy they put in plan, like the guy they put to take this sector, isn't really doing what they wanted to do, but he has so many balls in his court now that they really can't do anything about it. Like they put all their eggs in that basket, and now he's doing whatever the fuck he wants with that basket, and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's just like a helpless... like I said, they're just all bitching. They're sitting there bitching.
Meanwhile, you then have Kaji, who's in the big ethereal office with Gendo and Kazu. And he's just like, my, what an unexpected situation. What is the committee going to say about this? Or should I say, Cell? And I think Gendo's like, nothing. Or I don't even really remember what he says, but...
Right.
It's either like a long pause or it's something inconsequential, because I think it's just more so saying, holy shit, Kaji is really just flopping his dick out on the table and saying, yeah, bitch, I know.
Yeah.
Which I love. Kaji's the man, dude. These like past few episodes, I know I said it in the beginning and you were kind of like, Kaji? And I was like, yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that these episodes are showcasing that he's just kind of swinging for the fences.
Yeah, well, it's, he's really shown some of his better side. Like, he just comes off as a womanizing prick at first, and now he is proven to be far deeper than that.
Totally.
More capable as a human being than that, so.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's kind of just interesting is, like, last episode, that pep talk he gave to Shinji. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy knows full well what's going on in the bigger picture, and yet to still put all of that to the background and just offer a kind word of, like, encouragement, or, saying, like, hey, man, shit's fucked, but...
Yeah, I really just... I like how, like, open and comfortable he is with just the world. It's like he's so at peace with who he is.
Yeah.
That he's, like... He sees other people's faults, or even his own vices... And he's just, like, made peace with them.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, too, I think that in a show where pretty much every character has a severe, like, insecurity about themselves or has something that they are critical of themselves on, Kaji acts as, like, the strongest counterweight to that. Because he's someone that looks at things just as kind of, like, calling a spade, but... is also fully in the know of, like, the impact of those things. Like, he's not the kind of guy that goes, oh, you're depressed? Just try being happy,
Right.
He's like, damn, that really sucks that, like, you're depressed, but I think you're going to need to snap out of it because there's a lot of stuff going on. Or, I mean, that's not the best example, but that's kind of what he says to Shinji. He's like, hey bro, I get it. You don't want to pilot it, but if you don't, people will die. So that's your choice though. No one can take it from you, and I just think that's some good shit.
I agree, dude. Like that really was the turning point for him. Not to just keep going down this Kaji thing, but he is so interesting because like that moment in that little where everything was going to shit, and like I think it was episode 18 or 19. Where,
19.
So Shinji is like he's out of the mech, and Asuka and Rei are being like.
He watches Rei run in with an N2 mine as a suicide bomber. Asuka, with her whole gauntlet of weapons, just gets dicked on.
And while the world's going to hell, Shinji finds himself in, like, Kaji's watermelon patch. And Kaji's just like, hey, look, man.
I wish these were Masato's melons, but
yeah.
Also, dude.
Just the way that he spoke to Shinji about how, like, look, you do you, and I'm not going to judge you for what you do.
Yeah.
Because I totally see both sides. But just think, that you want to live a life without regrets.
Yeah.
And I'll leave you with that. You just do whatever you want, though.
Totally.
Like, that showed, like, a certain openness and maturity that we hadn't really seen from Kaji yet.
Mm-mm.
But then you kind of realize that it's all kind of a front for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. He is so much more interesting, and they throw him in the show, and he seems like such a surface-level, shallow character.
Yeah.
And he ends up having so much depth.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible.
And it's
really good writing.
Anyways, guys, this is the Kaji episode now. We are not going to talk about episode 20. Right. That being said, I think it's important that we emphasize this, because Kaji, towards the end, also has another shining moment, albeit maybe for none of the reasons we've mentioned here.
Yeah.
But... speaking of Shinji, though, we soon learn after, this kind of cut between Cell and Nerve and then cutting to Gendo and Kaji.
Yeah.
It then cuts back to Nerve, and they're basically saying, like, Shinji is still inside Eva 1. They haven't gotten him out.
Yep.
And all of their attempts to do so are, not... it's not working. Something is going awry, and they can't even... They can't even detect his mass anymore.
Yeah,
or something like that.
These are one of the that's one of the items that I really wanted to learn over my 3 walkthroughs. So essentially, there's two things happening here. There's only one thing happening, but it affects 2 sides.
Yeah.
So the human side of it, from Masato's point of view, and Asuka and whoever, they care that Shinji's inside this mech still, right?
Yeah.
So they want to get him out and make sure he's alive. But the other side of it, for the business side of Nerve, is that, Eva 1 is grounded until we can fix this, which bones all of us.
Yep.
So the Nerve side wants to just do whatever they can to get Shinji out so that they can move on.
Yeah.
And there's the human side of it where they really want to make sure that he's saved.
Yeah.
Essentially, they make it sound like he's achieved, Ritsuko says, 400% sync. And, the fluid in there, I forget what they call
LCL.
that. Yes. That he is sort of they almost make it seem like he's not in a physical mass form anymore. He is one with the fluid, and the fluid is him. His conscience and everything in his physical being is, also the fluid.
Yeah.
Which is so weird.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about that the sync rate is, should you surpass 100%, you just kind of become the Eva.
Yeah. It's so weird.
But what also drives that point home, too, is it's not as if he's just, assimilated. Mm-hmm. We come to find out that a human will is at the core of what an Eva is. Or when creating an Eva, that's kind of the foundation. And so Shinji achieving that sync rate over 100% means that he has kind of become one with the will that was put inside of Eva. Or Eva 1, I should say.
This is all in a really intelligent conversation, kind of a battle of wits between Masato and Ritsuko.
And this is really the crux of what you just said, the human side versus Nerve.
Yeah.
Because Masato is okay, well, we're going to get him out. How are we going to get him out? How much time do we have? When are we going to get him out? And Ritsuko's we are working with things that are, one, we know, like, and we have insight into this, but this is, like, beyond a simple matter of getting him out.
Right.
And, like, then Masato just gets pissed because she's like, well, what do you mean? Like, we put him in, we can get him out, you know. And then, isn't this when she, like, slaps her?
Yeah, so they have this, there's a couple things that happen. Masato starts to learn about what the Evas are, where they say that, well, Eva is a human, or something to resemble a human, created by human beings. Which, that is, like, such a mindfuck of a quote.
Yeah.
But on its own.
Yeah,
to even think about that. So we attempt to create life. We attempt to essentially play God and create humans, right?
Reminds me of Jurassic Park 1.
Yes, it does.
Chaos theory. You put a drop of water on the hand.
We both did the same thing at the same time there.
Jeff Goldblum, you dog.
Life finds a way.
You can't control where it's going. That's chaos theory.
So they get into this idea about how a human will can live inside the Evangelion.
Yeah.
And essentially, Masato figures out that the Evangelions are a copy of what they found in the Antarctic.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I'm assuming that is, like, Adam, right?
No, that's Lilith.
I don't know.
Lilith was the thing, like, chained to the cross.
Oh, but...
if you want like a lore context, they're gonna jump into it, I'm sure, and then, well, not I'm sure, I know they do, but
yeah,
I can give you a little bit of context without, like, completely spoiling it.
Well, I vaguely remember there being a dub issue there where I mentioned something to you after, like, episode 16 or something, and you were like, really? They said that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just forget about that now, but
okay.
Really interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so essentially, Masato gets very pissed off because, you know, Ritsuko, once again, is sort of acting like there isn't a human life inside of that.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't matter. What matters is destroying the angels and blah, blah, blah. And Masato now sees...
kind of through...
more than that.
Yeah. Well, and she also, I think, just sees through this, like, cold, calculating facade. As if, you know, there's, like, one core directive. And I think Masato... admittedly, having subscribed to that, like, we kill the angels, all that stuff, hadn't been confronted with the idea of, like, human loss. Because, I mean, up to this point, they've won.
Yeah.
Like, with Masato's harebrained schemes and everything, they've been doing just fine. But now it's like, hey, if we have a chance to do it, we should do it. Meanwhile, Ritsuka's like,
right.
You do not have enough credits. Also... I don't know if we can get a human will back.
I'll admit, like, Ritsuko, this isn't the first time that Masato has slapped Ritsuko in the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
Ritsuko takes it very well. Like, she does not fight back. She doesn't do, like... It's almost like Ritsuko knows that she's on maybe the wrong side of history here.
Well, and I think that given that episode we got about her mom and the Magi and all of the work that essentially her mom did to lay the foundation for Nerve, I think Ritsuko is kind of one of those things, or in a conundrum of wanting to uphold that same level of, you know, knowledge and, like, pushing science forward and kind of following in those footsteps, even if she won't admit it.
Yeah.
But, you know, someone like Masato, who is not tied to any of that and is speaking from... It's kind of like the angel and the devil, where I think that the devil on Ritsuko's shoulder is the past, her mom, all of what she's done so far. And then the angel is Masato kind of saying, hey, Earth to Ritsuko.
Right.
We can save people. We don't have to just be in this box because, you know, that's the, you know, protocol.
Right. I don't know. I'm just impressed with Ritsuko's ability, and Masato too, where their relationship is so turbulent, intense at work.
Yeah.
But they can separate the work from the personal so well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm impressed by both of their abilities to do that. Because, like, they'll fight in this episode, and then later on in the episode, like, Masato like drives Ritsuko home and they're totally chill.
Yeah, and then
like it's like I don't know.
And then Ritsuko's like, "You want to go get a drink?"
Yeah.
Masato's like, "Nah, bitch.
Yeah,
I gotta go."
We'll talk about that. There's some really good writing in there.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one more thing while we were on kind of Ritsuko and the Magi.
Please do.
The episode, it does have a little vignette at the beginning where they're like dusting off this like old command post, and they mention some sort of system transfer with the Magi that they can, a lot of that shit goes over my head until I see it happen in the series. Yeah. But I really enjoyed seeing like this old command center, this old control center that they're working in. And
because the first one got destroyed.
Yeah. Well, it just reminds me of like Jurassic Park. Like, you know when they're like running around getting chased by dinosaurs or whatever, and they'll all of a sudden find like another research station in the park that's like overgrown, and usually there's raptors in there.
Yeah.
But it's always kind of fun to see like, it's kind of like Last of Us or something like that, right? You see like the old world technology.
Yep.
Where it is modern, but it's been overgrown, and you're like seeing something so new but looking so old. And I don't know, it's kind of a comforting feeling gave me for some reason. I really enjoyed seeing that.
Yeah, no, I think it's nice too because it does world building non-directly, but still kind of fleshes out the idea that Nerve has been around for a while. Yeah. We're kind of catching just like the greatest hits right now.
Right.
But prior to this, I mean, they were a full-fledged facility, and they've only continued to grow. Yeah. Hence, all right, well, let's use the old station, I guess. Yeah. Because our new one is fucked. But
dude, yeah.
I will say one other mention. There's a shot that happens between, I want to say it's the talk with Ritsuko and Masato, and the stuff with Cell, where Asuka is basically laying on her bed.
Mm-hmm. And she finds out Rei's alive?
Yeah, well, no, it's not that she finds out Rei's alive. I think she makes mention of, like, I can't keep losing. Because she's, she failed in this fight. She failed in the last one. And like her whole thing is she wants to be the best Eva pilot, and yet she can't seem to catch a break.
Is that the scene where she says that Shinji stole the show?
Maybe
my version might have just been different. The scene I'm thinking of is Asuka's laying on her bed like face down, and Masato calls her and tells her that Rei is alive, and she's like, "Why would you even call and tell me that, Masato?" Like, hangs up all pissed off, and then she's like talking to herself, and she's just saying like, "That idiot Shinji's gonna be the hero, and he stole the show, and should have been me." And
yeah, in my dub, I think she also makes a line of like, "I can't keep losing," or I can't lose again.
Right.
But that also does happen. But
she's really gone through the ringer the last like few episodes. She hasn't had a win in a while.
I want you to keep that in the back of your mind because Asuka, I think, has one of the most brutal character arcs, I think, in these last, like, couple episodes. So, and they've been breadcrumbing it out as, we keep watching. So I very excited to see kind of your thoughts on it.
Yeah. No, I remember them kind of hinting at some things in that, like, bath episode that, like, remember they got rewarded by going to some, like, spa at the end of the episode, and Masato and her had this really interesting conversation about both of their pasts.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see where that goes too.
Totally. Well, I mean, it's about time we jump into Shinji's wild acid trip.
This is now just a theme in the show. They just do this sometimes.
Yeah.
We've had a few of them. We there's like this one where it's like they're showing different clips and they're saying like, him and Rei are kind of mirroring what they're saying. And then there's like the train ones.
Yep.
And there's like a few little acid trip sections that recur through this show.
Yeah, and the way that the episode breaks it up is they show these events that we've just been talking about, day one. So like day one, it shows the conversation with Kaji and Gendo and Nerve, and then Masato, Ritsuko. Day two has like the Asuka stuff, more talk with Nerve. Day three is kind of discussing like Eva 1 and going into like what's in an Eva. And then day 4, it just cuts to a panning shot of inside the plug of Eva Unit 1 in Shinji's empty plug suit, just floating.
Yeah.
And then we're treated to a very nice, light, strobe effect show that shows us a bunch of locales, like, superimposed on the beach, and then a quick cut of every character in the show, and then various cuts of Shinji, like, one of them's in black and white, one of them looks like he's, in a manga, another one looks like he is just, like, regularly piloting, and then it cuts through every single angel that they've encountered throughout the show.
Yeah.
And then it just shows Shinji kind of, like, looking forward, just absolutely lost.
Yeah.
So it really is, I think, going through, what, does your life flash before you die? Except this is, like, to the extreme.
I know.
And this is kind of his, like, I don't know, his introspective time is what I titled it in my notes. And there's a few notable quotes I wrote down. Did you write any down?
Yeah, I wrote a few down. I mean, not just the similarity between this and kind of the one that we see with Rey.
Yeah.
Earlier on in the show makes you wonder, what was necessarily going on there. If Shinji had to get to this high of a sync rate to sort of have these moments, and Rey wasn't necessarily exhibiting those.
Yeah.
There's something happening there.
Yeah, what's their connection?
Right.
That's a good anecdote.
He kind of goes through this whole trip that ends up with him kind of cycling through all the angels as his enemies, and then he, in a conversation with Rey, sort of comes to find out that maybe his dad is the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
He even calls his dad out for murdering his mother, and then it's just really, I mean, I gotta admit the visuals are incredible. And they do a lot of cool audio stuff here where, like, they'll pop really quick clips, like, to Shinji talking in his normal voice, and then he'll be talking on, like, a screen, and they'll put an effect over the audio to make it sound like it's, like, coming out of a TV. Or, like, the little things that they do make this just so jarring to watch and so interesting.
Totally.
It was a cool scene.
Yeah, well, in some of the notable quotes I wrote down, as he's kind of revisiting all of these different highlights and moments throughout the show, some of the ones that I wrote down were, one of his first quotes is, "Why do I fight? Why do I do this? Am I odd to try and find a reason to fight? Am I supposed to not think about it? How can I be faulted for protecting my life and the lives of others?" And I just think that he has said these things, granted, maybe not verbatim, but in certain forms, like when he talks to Asuka about, why do we fight the angels? And Asuka's like, well, duh, they're bad. And he's like, okay, I guess.
Right.
And then, he kind of asks, like, well, why do I fight? Why do I do this? What's my purpose? And that reasoning for him jumps around to, I want to protect people. I want to get praise from my dad. I want to, be recognized. And
right.
I really, really enjoyed that string of quotes. They happen back to back, but I really dig it.
Dude, no, it was cool. I know the exact ones you're talking about where he was, he kind of gets on this rant about how the angels are evil and, well, they attacked me first, and is it wrong for me to defend myself? And, all that kind of stuff. He sort of, like, angrily gets through him rationalizing, or you know what I mean, just, like...
Rationalizing?
Yes. Like, why it was okay that he killed him, and then he kind of goes even deeper to understand that maybe it's wrong, and it's like him just having this breakdown is so interesting for us to watch.
Well, and he also, one of the other quotes I jotted down was, I already knew Ava. I knew Ava then, and I ran, and I left my mom and dad behind, and it shows him as a kid, like, being dropped off, and it shows, like, early pictures of Gendo and his mom, and then it shows her gravestone, and then it shows Ava 1, and then it cuts back to him again, and it's just, like, it's a lot visually, but I think that it also is something really, like, impactful, just in the sense of, one, that's a huge story thing. Like, Shinji has likely repressed a lot of this stuff about the Ava and things like that, and then it all comes flooding back as he's in Ava Unit 1.
Yeah, as he is Ava Unit 1. Yeah.
So I love it.
Dude, I thought it was really good, too.
Yeah. Well, and then kind of after this whole scene, I mean, sorry, were there any other, like...
No.
After this whole scene, it cuts back to the Nerve group, and Ritsuko is kind of, like, dusting off some old books and stuff like that, and one of the tech people goes, "Hey, what is that?" And she goes, "Oh, they actually did this a couple decades ago."
Right.
And then the tech goes, Did it work? How did it go last time?" And Ritsuko goes, "It didn't work."
Yeah.
And so then that kind of adds a lot of gravity to the situation that, they're desperately trying to figure out a way to make it work when there's no proven track record whatsoever.
Yeah. Ritsuko even mentions that her mom was one of the main people involved in trying to make it work last time.
Yeah.
Which adds to the, to maybe some of her issues that she might be having.
Yeah. Well, and so after that happens, it then goes back into Shinji's like trippy dream sequence.
Yeah.
And there's a few more really good quotes. One of them was, "Work hard, Shinji. You gotta work hard. Good job, Shinji." And it's when he's holding the phone.
Yeah.
And people are saying that to him. And then it cuts, and then he's like yelling. He's like, "I have so much to offer. I'm doing the best I can. Why can't anyone be nice to me?"
Yeah.
And fuck, I don't know, man. That line in particular really like struck a chord. Not that I'm sitting here like I've said that, but I think, that is a very poignant and just insightful line, especially coming from Shinji.
Yeah.
But I think that, not to speak for everyone, but I'm sure that there are plenty of people that have felt that exact way, like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I succeed? What's wrong with me? Like, and I just, as he's going through this whole trip, and he's kind of, it's like, we can go deeper. He gets another level deep in introspection and reflecting on himself, and it's just...
Well, he's really battling with something here where, like, he mentioned when they were eating that ramen, like, a bunch of episodes ago that, why does he pilot the Eva? Well, because he wants, like, those words of affirmation from his friends, and he wants people to feel like he's made a difference, right? Well, now he's tripping out where it's just, like, replaying every time somebody said something nice to him.
Yeah.
Right? And he's putting together in his mind, realizing that the only reason that they were saying something nice to him is because he was piloting the Eva.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, because of what he did in the Eva. And the only reason he knows those people is because of the Eva.
Yep.
And, like, all these different things are tying back to that. And he sort of is realizing that, maybe there's something there that, maybe it's a facade, that they're all just telling him nice things so that he keeps piloting the Eva. Or maybe, like, all those different thoughts are going through his head. In my version, the words are a little bit different, but he pretty much keeps yelling, like, "Please take care of me. I need you to be kind."
Yeah.
Is what he says.
I feel like that's that's not a horrible translation, because, at the core of it, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, they're the same.
But yeah, that's a really good point. I think he is battling with kind of the idea of, like, people are only nice to me because I'm piloting the Eva, but I have so much to offer just being who I am.
Just as Shinji, yeah.
So it's, like, I don't know. I just think that is a very, like...
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, really good bit. And I will say, man, as I'm rewatching this show again, I really grapple with just the idea that it's tough to think about that there were some people that watched this entire show. They got to this point. They're watching it. And then they finished it. You haven't seen the ending yet, but they finished it, and then they went, why didn't Shinji just get in the fucking robot?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, even on my first viewing, I got to the end of it, and I was kind of like, okay, yeah, this is different. And then on my second viewing, I was like, okay, yeah, this is, like, I get it now. I get what's going on here. So, I don't know. And granted, that's not me saying, oh, you're watching the show wrong because you didn't get the overarching themes. Because obviously, like, different narrative, like, storytelling styles don't resonate with some people, and
Well, not everybody watches the show like this and then spends like 30 hours talking with somebody about each episode to really understand what's happening.
True. But I think at the same time you wouldn't even have to talk for 30 hours to know what was going on.
Yeah, they do a really good job.
Yeah.
It's not subtle. They do a really good job at showing you exactly why the characters are doing what they're doing.
That's the thing. If it was something where in the background there's a clock, the clock was set to 7:20 p.m. In episode 4, it shows Shinji's birth certificate was 7:20 p.m. Ava 1 was created at 7:20 p.m. after the first impact.
Right.
It all comes together.
And the creator, that show actually came out on July 20th, 7:20. So like,
oh my god. The worst part is I'm sure there's probably like a fan theory out there that's like, Ava Unit 1, number 1, only child, Shinji.
Oh my fuck.
And yeah, the first child, Rei. Was Rei the first? Yeah, Rei's the first child.
The first children.
Yeah. Thanks, Asuka.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will also make mention though that while we're talking positively about this trippy scene, there are some moments too that are like, huh?
Yeah, this next sequence is one of those for me where I just was like, fuck you. What?
Yeah, I was watching this episode at work, and next thing I know, Masato is just buck-ass naked.
I know.
In front, in like full view of the screen, and at first I was kind of like, okay, like let's wrap it up, and then it cuts to Asuka, and I was like,
and then Rei,
I was like, no, stop, get it off, no, don't do it.
And then it reprises it again later,
but
and
it's
just
like,
fuck.
It's like they put it just on loop where each one of them falls into the front of the screen, and
I don't. It's really my only issue with this episode. I just feel like they could have done something more creative, and I know there's budget issues, there's time issues, than just replaying the same audio over and over again with the same, like you said, it's like the character starts off leaning back and then leans forward, and they show it like 6 times in a row, and they just keep saying the same things, and I know like they're really trying to get a point across, but I just don't know, for one, why they had to be naked to do that. And for 2, why they would draw them naked but not draw like nipples or anything that resembles human anatomy.
I mean, censorship, I think, is like...
Just put them in clothes.
Well,
Don't tease me like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just weird because like 2 of them are 14.
Yeah, that is the part where I'm kind of like, okay, put them in their like plug suits.
Yes.
Put Masato in her outfit. But I almost have to wonder if, like, the reason that was the case is, I mean, we're in Shinji's conscious, and I don't think that it necessarily ties to the fact that they're naked, and Shinji's like, I only think of them without clothes.
He's never seen boobs before, so he's just like, that's what he pictures.
He can't, like, figure it out. No, but I think that each one of those female characters has a strong impact. I don't want to say relationship because I don't think that applies to Asuka, but I mean Shinji and Masato, their bond has like grown. Asuka and Shinji, while they butt heads, there are moments of like where they do see eye to eye, and like I mean they also
kissed. Work well together. Yeah.
Well, and they also kissed, and that was like Shinji's first time ever doing that. And then there's Rei, who he
got to second base with.
On accident. Well, we don't know that.
I just don't know that. I don't see. I just don't think it was necessary. It's hard to say creative enough because this is like the most out of the box creative thing you could ever think of.
Yeah.
But like, I don't believe that they all would have been saying the same things in that scenario. I think that the attraction that Shinji might have to Masato is so different than what he might have with Rei or Asuka.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. I don't think it's attraction though, because I think it's because that's where they say the line of like, you know, what we started the episode with.
Do you want to become one with me in body and soul?
Yeah.
It feels really, really good.
Well, and I think that like, you know, for Shinji, I think there's an allure of like, you know, being drawn to someone that has shown interest like in him. You know? Does that kind of make sense?
No, I understand the deeper meaning here.
But also at the same time, it's a weird way to go about conveying that.
Yeah, like
because they could have done a lot of other things.
Yeah, I think the general public that could watch this.
Yeah. Yeah. If I were to show this to my girlfriend, I don't know what the interpretation would be.
It's just like it's such a complex scene that I think the nudity of it and the dialogue of it almost takes away from what could have been so interesting. But you know what? That's also what makes it so interesting. So I don't know. It made me feel weird. Mm-hmm. I almost spit out my drink when this scene first happened. It's like, oh, we're here. I didn't realize this was a rated R show.
Ooh, nakey.
Right. So I don't know. This scene perplexed me for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think that's fair. I don't know, because pretty much after that scene, it goes into I'm trying to think what leads into that. Because what leads into that is Shinji saying, like, why can't anyone be nice to me? You know,
yeah.
I'm doing the best I can, stuff like that. Then it cuts to them saying, like, hey, be one with me. You know, It feels really good. Like, just let yourself, let yourself be one.
Yeah, give in.
And that doesn't end up happening. Well, we basically cut from that to Nerve. And Ritsuko's like, okay. And I will say it cuts to 1 month later. So Shinji has just been in the ether chilling for a full month.
I know, crazy.
And Ritsuko's like, okay, we're doing it. We're going to try and get him out.
With no angel attacks.
No angel attacks, which is interesting.
Well, it is interesting. Like, it's weird for them to just throw out a 1 month time break while they're down and out.
Especially considering, granted, the episodes don't necessarily convey time or like, we assume it's just the next day.
Sure,
or this is the
You're
next
right.
thing.
You're right.
However, the show, to make it a matter of fact, like, hey... And in some episodes, too, they're like, okay, we just killed that angel. That's great. The next episode, oh my god, another angel. Right. And they make mention that it's becoming more frequent. But either way, Ritsuko is like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to try and get him out. And then it goes south real quick.
Yeah.
And I think Misato basically goes, what does that mean? And then Ritsuko goes, it means we failed.
There's a part there where, in the chaos, there's sort of this, like, I'm a big Star Trek fan, and in a lot of different sci-fi stuff, they have, like, that kind of techno-babble, right? Where they just say random shit that's, like, maybe a scientific term, maybe not, to make it sound interesting. And the audience just hears it and thinks it's important. And they have a bunch of stuff like that in here where everything's going wrong.
Yeah.
And there's a line where they go, his ego boundary's been locked into a continuous loop. And I'm just like, I'm sorry? So I look this up.
And of course it's the fucking, like, dude with the glasses who has, like, 12 lines throughout the show, but just says the most wacky shit.
So I Googled this at work. I Google ego boundary. It's a real thing, and it actually makes sense.
Oh, really?
Yes, an ego boundary is where somebody is unable to tell where his mind and body... I'm using Shinji here, so his.
Oh, okay.
I'm not assuming anybody's whatever, but...
Yeah.
Unable to tell where his mind and body are, and unable to distinguish between himself and others.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm like, oh, shit. That actually works perfectly in this scenario. You couldn't have picked a better word for that.
Yeah, so it wasn't just useless babble.
Yeah.
HiroBabble.
So, yeah. So, anyways.
Okay.
I just thought that was... I went in there to be like, what idiots? And then I'm like, oh my god, they're brilliant.
Anyways, now I know a lot about neurophysics.
Right.
Yeah, so it fails, and the... entry plug opens up.
And sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I just thought there was a brilliant line of dialogue in here where
go for it.
Where Ritsuko goes, "Don't you want to come back, Shinji?" And it cuts to Shinji in the plug, and he's just like,
"Oh, he's like partially." Oh, yes.
I don't know what the words are for yours. I didn't.
I think it's the same.
But I like. That is the kind of deep shit that happens in this episode that it's like you need to take a week to figure to wrap your brain around it.
Well, but it's also like, I wouldn't know either.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's been in there a month, and...
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, considering the train of thought that he's following of, like, why do I exist? Why do I do this? What's my purpose? You know,
right.
all of these things. Why would you want to go back? If you are struggling with your own idea of sense of self and self-worth, and, you know, you don't have to deal with the burden of that anymore, why would you want to come back?
Right.
I will say that it was heartbreaking seeing Masato hold his empty plug suit and just, like, sobbing on the ground.
Yeah.
That was a real tearjerker of a scene.
It's there. God, there was also, sorry, I know that I led us onto a tangent here, but there's
for it.
also a line where he's in the LCL fluid, obviously, and he mentions that it smells like his mom.
Oh yeah.
He's like, it smells like mother or whatever.
Oh, I remember Ritsuko in my dub says Shinji in response to Ritsuko says, "What do I want?"
Yeah, I mean, brilliant.
Just
it's
like
really good.
Unreal, because what do you want?
Yeah,
I wouldn't know, but it's great.
The whole sequence is baller.
Yeah,
it is so well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
It's great,
and it ends with Masato like clutching his suit, going like, "Give me back my Shinji, give him back."
Yeah.
But then it cuts back into like this trippy LCL world.
Yeah.
And it shows Gendo and his mom Yui and him, and like Gendo goes, if it's it's something like, if it's a girl, Rei, if it's a boy, Shinji, and Yui's like, that's great. And then Shinji's born and she's breastfeeding him, and Gendo goes like, do you think he'll be like happy in this world?
Right, in this like crazy world.
And she goes, anywhere can be heaven so long as you try to live. So long as he lives, he'll have a chance at happiness.
Yeah, they say the same thing in mine, except they say anything could be paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, holy shit, what a line. I really, really like that.
And Gendo heard her say that and thought, kill her.
I'm gonna mentally abuse my son.
Yes. Well, it's just such a contrast from everything we've seen Gendo treat Shinji.
He's like
Here
calm,
he's like a loving father.
Yeah, he's like happy, excited, like,
right.
Concerned, like legitimately as a parent. Do you think he'll be like okay with all of this? And
like, hey, good dad.
Yeah, where have you been?
This also, I think, for my theory fans, absolutely disconfirms the fact that Rei is Shinji's mom. So I know we've all had a lot of money in that, but
I wouldn't write yourself off just yet.
Well, specifically, Rei, really? A clone of his mom? I mean, he essentially says that he would name his daughter Rei.
Think about it.
What is a mom?
Well, no. I mean, like, think about it. The name Rei.
Sure.
I mean,
is what he would have named his daughter.
Yeah, and so if he had the chance to make a daughter, he would use the name that was synonymous with someone he loved.
Sure.
And where do you think he got the, stuff to...
Well, okay.
I'm just saying.
No, you're right. Right.
Don't write it off.
Okay, you know what? We're back.
Yeah, you've had a lot of confidence, and I just...
Well,
it's sad.
Shit's hitting the fan here.
It is hitting the fan, but I don't think it's time to throw in the towel.
Okay, folks, the towel's back on the corner. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
We're sticking to it.
Yeah. Thank you. Now I'm bought in on this theory, too.
Okay, good. Good.
So, yeah, I will say, like... masterful scene kind of leading up to like Shinji with this introspection, and then Ritsuko's like, we failed, Masato's crying, and then that flashback happens with Gendo and Yui, and Shinji just kind of shoots out of the red core in Eva 1's chest and is just chilling naked.
Yeah, naked flop.
But he's back. Our boy's back, baby.
Yeah.
And then the episode takes a hard shift. I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean the episode goes from like, what does it mean to be? And like, we gotta save Shinji, to Ritsuko and Masato, and Ritsuko's like, "You want to go bar hopping?"
I know, yeah.
Fuck, I could go for a drink. And Masato's like, "Oh, no." And then Ritsuko immediately goes, "Oh, is that how it is? You're gonna go see him?"
Uh-huh.
And Masato's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna go."
Yeah, dude, I thought that scene was really charming.
Yeah.
Because like I mentioned at the very top of this, is just like their ability to separate work from pleasure is amazing. And like here they're driving home, and it seems so genuine from Ritsuko, where she's like, you know, you want to go out for a drink? Like we haven't done that in like 3 episodes. Yeah, you know. And
last time we did it, you cried home. Cried all the way home.
Yes.
About your dad.
Let's do it right.
Yeah, let's have fun.
You know, and so of course Masato turns her down, and there's a line where she leaves, and Ritsuko is
like standing in the street. Right?
Yeah, like as if she just got kicked out, and she goes running off to see a secret lover, and she's like, I guess I shouldn't, or I forget how she words it, but she's like, I guess you know. God, what am I trying to say? She's pretty much like, she pretty much insinuates that like, well, she's not the only one who has done that recently. Yeah. You know?
And it's like, Ritsuko.
I know. And I'm like, damn.
Her and Kazu are hooking up, dude.
Kazu? Who's that? That's the Gendo's right-hand man. I had a theory that was her dad, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, that's the thing about theories, buddy. They can be wrong.
Yeah. So okay, so that takes us to the next rated R scene of this of this movie, of this show.
Yeah, this is probably the nail in the coffin of like I don't know if I'd feel comfortable like watching this episode with.
I felt uncomfortable by myself.
Yeah, no, I was too. I was like,
I'm curious what your dub sounded like.
Oh, it was
probably more exaggerated than mine.
Yeah. Yeah,
to say the least.
The sounds Masato was making, I was just like.
Same.
I want to mute it, but I need to know what's gonna be said.
But you know, I'm doing research for a show. I could write this off.
No, it's not porn. I can't. I'm not even. I don't even see them.
You actually turn it up. I really got to hear this, babe. You know, this is one of those scenes where the first time watching it, I was really cringing. And it was like, why would they ruin this episode with that? Yeah. And then the second and third time. You know,
second and third time, I wasn't watching.
The immediate fourth and fifth time.
Well, I could only watch it twice, back to back.
Right.
Otherwise, I get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
But it's one of those things where, once again, like the surface level is. Just stupid. Yeah. But the deeper level here tells you a lot about the two characters. Mm-hmm. And impressed me with both characters. It was such a, like, immature, mature scene. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just so interesting. I mean, basically, do you want to get into what they say and stuff like that?
I didn't write many quotes. The only thing I really jotted down was, you know, first time in 8 years, maybe the last time as well. Which is a line that Kaji says.
Yeah, I wrote that line down as well.
Just because, like, for we haven't even said what happened. Kaji and Masato are hooking up.
Yeah, they're hooking up. And mid-hookup, Masato asks him a question about, I forget what agency it is. It's like the Human Intelligence... Yeah. Whatever. It's one of the, you know...
One of the groups looking into...
Yes. Yeah. And Kaji is pretty much like, is that the only reason you're here, is to try to get answers from me? Yeah. And of course he says it very, like, casually. Yeah. He's not, like, pissed.
And then she's like, no. Yeah. And then...
I mean, she's actually... I feel like she's surprisingly honest with him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Doesn't she say yes?
I think so.
Well, I think she says mainly... Yeah. Or like something along the lines of, well, I mean, yeah,
like that too.
But also, you know.
Yeah, like I think what she says in mine is, she's just like, I didn't even write it down, but she's kind of like, well, I just want you to know what I want right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
or something like that, right?
Yeah. No, that's I think very similar to what my dub says.
And then it randomly they just start saying shit like, "What are you trying to shove in me?" In my version.
Oh yeah, that's they say that.
And then he sets a goddamn pill on the countertop.
Yeah. Well, no, he hands it to Masato, and he's like, "Hey, this is for you." And then she sets it down, and then it cuts to them like looking at each other, and then the episode cuts out.
But you also had the Kaji dialogue about the, what is it? First time in 8 years, and it may still. Okay,
yeah. I think I made mention of that quote, but
I'm just so like shocked by this events. Like, so essentially, like in my breakdown, she says, "What are you trying to shove in me?" With some odd sounds. Who knows what's happening there?
Yeah.
She then says, "What is it? What's that?" He hands her a pill.
Yeah.
They set it on the counter. And he says, "A present.
Mm-hmm.
First in 8 years. And it may be my last one."
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
Yeah, just you wait, bucko.
And then they just have like 2 minutes too long of craziness.
Yeah.
And then they just roll into the credits.
Just imagine the recording session on that one.
Okay, guys, hear me out.
All right, guys, we're going to be dubbing an episode today.
Right.
How are your moaning sounds?
Right.
Thoughts? What are we... am I, like, hurt or, you know... No. Well, no. No. Yeah, kudos to them. I mean...
I know. I don't know, man.
Pay these voice actors more, but I don't know.
I wanted to hear more Akaji, you know?
Yeah, not a whole lot of Kaji.
Where's my man moans?
Sexist.
Honestly.
The woman has to do all the work.
I want Kaji to... What are you trying to shove in me? Masato, a present. See, now this is juicy.
This is the alternate universe take.
This is what I assume happens in the end of Evangelion movie. This is the ending people are confused about.
It's not even the ending of the show. It's just them hooking up.
Right.
I'd like a little role reversal.
Right.
Please?
You want to be one with me, Kaji?
He's like, what? Heard you wanted these watermelons.
Yeah, Shinji. Damn it, Shinji.
Shinji's just like in the closet.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, this must be at Kaji's apartment.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way it's a nerve. Because, I mean, the scene in the very beginning where he's like, well, what an unexpected turn of events, huh?
Yeah.
Basically is him saying, like, I'm on to you, bitch.
They're just underneath Gendo's desk.
He's just listening with like a stethoscope on the wall. What are they saying? But yeah, well, man. I guess now we get to the fabled rating.
The fabled mech rating. What a weird way to end the episode, but at the same time, kind of smart and kind of cringy, but kind of fun. I don't know.
Yeah, a little fun, little laughs, goofs, and a gaff.
This was a deep episode.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happening here, a lot of parts and pieces, a lot of stuff that threw me off at first, but that I've sort of come around to. I'm going to give this one 9 out of 10 mechs.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of this episode is deserving of 10, but then there's enough stuff that's just like, that throws you off, that I sort of feel, doesn't sit right with me right now. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 9. I mean, that is a very good score, and I feel like they're on a roll of like, strong episodes.
I'm giving it a 9 as well.
Yeah.
I think it's one of my favorites in the series. I think it is very impactful and kind of like you're saying, sets the bar of things to come.
Yeah, much better than part 1 of Weaving a Story.
Miles better. Because it's actually an episode. But, well, yeah, great. I mean, hey, we know, for those of you watching at home, that this is a lot. This is an episode that is a kind of a mind bender. So we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Did you like the episode? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? Were there any favorite moments? Were there any weird moments?
Yeah.
Do you think Kaji should have moaned more? let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
But until next time, I'm Michael.
And I'm Spencer.
And we'll catch you on the next HiroBabble.